Um, why? Right? Why? Uh,
Hey, your answer is as good as mine, Troy.
What is going on? I want to welcome you from Half Court for today, Wednesday, April 6, 2022. I'm your host, Sean Murphy, alongside my guy, Jeff Iafrady. Jeff, how we doing, man?
I'm doing good. It's a great Monday. The weather is terrible right now
Yep.
in Michigan, but you know what? We got some topics to talk about.
Oh, we got
great
some topics to talk about. Jeff, I've been checking the weather app like a fiend, just looking at what the weather's going to be like this week in Detroit for opening day, and we are not getting a crispy, warm, sunny day. We are getting a cold, rainy hellfest. It's going to be great. I'm excited. But
yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah, but I'm not only joined by my guy Jeff. I am also joined by the 6'3" from Marquette, Michigan, Troy Sergey. Troy, I try the rhyming every week. I just figure, today it's March Madness. It's a good day. I just figure I give you that good OG intro. How we doing?
Doing good, Sean, but I am a little sad. Yes, we got the national championship game tonight, but I am still sad that there's no NBA on tonight.
Yeah, man. It's I'm dead inside on that. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it's the national championship game. That's always a super fun watch. I forget how late it starts every single year. Like who decided that 9:21 is the time to start a basketball game?
Yeah.
Like, what are these guys doing? Like, I understand, like, maybe, like, the West Coast ratings, like, okay, sure, but, like, you don't gotta murder us on the East Coast.
Like, what are y'all doing? You're tuning out a good majority of the viewers, unless you wanted to wake up for work tomorrow just tired. It's either option A or option B. You watch it and be tired, or you just miss it and have to check the highlights tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, college kids, like, it's fine for them, you know what I mean? Like, they're in college. I mean, they don't care. But, but for everyone else, all us old people, it sucks. It's chalked, but that's okay. We're still going to watch it. We love basketball here because it's who we are. This is From Half Court, each and every week. The three of us sit down and talk about the game that we love in the NBA specifically. If you'd like that, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel. We are on all the audio services that your heart desires, so be sure to find us on there as well and give us a good rating. But also, be sure to join the conversation in the comment section down below and follow us on Twitter because we now have a Twitter account at FHCourtPod. That is FHCourtPod. We're going to be posting clips, memes, all that kind of stuff on there. So be sure to check that out. But with that, guys, there is a lot to talk about today. Now, we always like to start the show with the Pistons because I think that's a good place to start. However, I would be remiss if I didn't take this opportunity. I want to start this show on a little bit of a positive note. The Sacramento Kings have made NBA history, and I want to congratulate the city of Sacramento, the Kings organization, for missing the playoffs for the 16th consecutive year. Give it up, everybody. That is elite.
Sean, I want to add something to that, though. In their defense, they were Summer League NBA champions this past year, and I think that should also deserve a round of applause.
Yeah. Hey, they got the Summer League title. That's really all we care about. Good for them. No, it turns out Davion Mitchell, the real reason why his nickname was Off Night because he was moving to Sacramento. And every night's an off night when you live in Sacramento. But but in all seriousness, the team that made a win now trade that ended up with a worse record after the trade than the team that they traded with. And now their situation looks complete and utterly up. So, Jeff, the Sacramento Kings, we're booming, baby, to the moon.
We called this, Sean, didn't we? I mean, we talked about this on the pod. We talked about when they traded for Sabonis, and same with Troy. Like we understood Sabonis was the better player.
You know how many people have told me that was a good trade?
No, it was terrible. It was terrible. And they traded away their future. Like if you were losing games, you had the privilege to watch Tyrese Halliburton. Now you're watching a finished product in Domantas Sabonis pretty much waste his career away in Sacramento. By the way, move Sacramento to Las Vegas and or Seattle. Can we make that a thing as Adam Silver? Get him on the phone. Let's hit up Sacramento ownership, make a Facebook group, and get these sons of bitches out of Sacramento. At least get them in a market where, at least if you're losing, you're held accountable. Like, what the hell is going on in Sacramento? Your ownership can't even be patient enough to understand, well, we suck. We have no history of winning, and we have a young core. No. Trade him away for Domantas Sabonis, and let's win now. Well, how's that working out for you? Because you ain't winning now. You ain't winning at all. So it's
they ain't winning now. They might not win ever, Jeff.
This is the difference. At least if the Pistons and people are going to say, well, you're a Pistons fan. You guys have sucked for the last couple. At least we have won championships. At least there's historic value in our franchise. There is zero historic value in the Sacramento Kings. You know what? Joe Dumars went over there and helped out their front office. All right, Joe. It wasn't not a good move, Joe. All right, if you were trying to help your career.
Marvin Bagley, Joe. I appreciate it.
Yeah, actually, Joe, thank you, because you ended up trading us a piece that they were too impatient to keep and develop. So Sacramento has been nothing but a laughing stock to me, and honestly, it's sad that De'Aaron Fox is probably going to be another guy to leave. Sabonis is going to leave, and they're going to restart the whole process over again, and they're going to have to go through the draft and draft these players and then trade them away to win now. So honestly, it's a never-ending cycle with these idiots, man. It really is.
The current president and general manager of the Sacramento Kings, Monte McNair.
Yeah, Monte McNair.
He might be the worst executive in NBA history.
Wait, paying Harrison Barnes all that money was a good idea? Or trading for him was a good idea? This core they put together is a giant pile of crap. That's what it is. A giant pile of manure. And it doesn't matter if they have De'Aaron Fox. It doesn't matter that they have Domantas Sabonis. If you can't get your coach right and you can't get the fit of players right, where's your shooting on this team? You traded away two of your best shooters in Tyrese Haliburton and Buddy Hield, and now you're sitting looking at yourself in the mirror going, why don't we have Sabonis? Why don't we have De'Aaron Fox? Why isn't our team winning games? You know what, Monte McNair? Fuck you. All right, fuck you. And, your development of your team has been nothing but a failure. You know what? But again, it's Sacramento. Should we expect anything better? I mean, that is a real conversation, guys. Should we expect anything?
We really shouldn't. And if anybody thinks otherwise, you're literally arguing against history. This team is the Detroit Lions of the NBA, but at least the Lions made the playoffs in the last 16 years. Troy?
And at least they were entertaining, real quick before you go, Troy, with Boogie Cousins. At least I got to see DeMarcus Cousins in Sacramento ball. That was probably the most entertaining years they had, when he was getting all those technical fouls and getting in all these damn near fist fights on the court. When he left, zero entertainment value.
Literally, the only thing about this team that has ever had any historic value is that Chris Webber looked cool in a Kings jersey. That's it. But Troy,
that was the OG.
Yeah, that is the OG. But Troy, Sacramento Kings, you must have a lot of positive things to say about this franchise.
I'm going to start with a trivia question for both of you. Can't look it up. Any of you know what the name of the street is on the Sacramento Kings arena? You know how Woodward is for Little Caesars Arena. You know what the street name is for the Kings arena?
I can't imagine.
It's David Stern Avenue. Okay. They named it David Stern Avenue because he saved the franchise. But dang it, David Stern, you should have not saved that franchise. I think what defines the Sacramento Kings for me the most is always going for, I guess, the sexy player, right? The player that does not have the most upside, but at least looks cool. An example, Jimmer Fredette. Another example, I forget his first name, but remember that guy from Kansas they took with the fourth pick, Thompson back in the day, or Thomas Robinson. Why? Right? Why?
Your answer is as good as mine, Troy. I really don't get it.
Right. But the Jimmer thing I think was big too. We see him paying out, good now for Marvin Bagley for us, but you had at least some, different options in that draft too. So it's always the player that you think could work out, but never actually does. Ben McLemore, another guy you take in the top 10. Their drafting, to me, guys, has been the reason why they're so far behind. Right? I hate when Pistons fans always say, like, dang, we could have had Devin Booker, but we picked Stanley Johnson. Greg Monroe over Paul George. The Kings have made way worse selections than us, my friend.
Well, they just do it more consistently. You know, the difference between us and the Kings is we call it a travesty. They call it a Tuesday. You know what I mean? Like that's just another day in the office for them. So, you know, like just when I look at this situation, you know, as far as like where they go going forward, does it really matter? Because like first of all, where they should go is Seattle or Las Vegas. I think there's a couple organizations, in my opinion, that the relocation conversation should begin. And I think Sacramento is at the top of the list. And so, you know, especially missing the playoffs for a record 16th year in a row. In my opinion, if your franchise reaches 20 straight years without making the playoffs, you should be forced to sell your team. Like, can we make that legislation? Because like at a certain point, like the people of Sacramento do deserve better. They really do deserve better than this, because it's a travesty. Like, this is supposed to be an escape for people, and this thing is just a nightmare.
And you know what's even worse too is when you're not an attractive free agency destination, you can't afford to miss in the draft. You really can't. Like, if you can't attract guys, who the hell is coming to Sacramento on a max deal? Mm-hmm. Who the hell is doing that? And if you're not getting free agents or luring them over, you have to have young talent that at least will attract guys, or you acquire guys via trade, which they did. They went and got Sabonis. But what a terrible time. Your team was already terrible, and you went and traded for another all-star. Like, they have no idea what they're doing.
Well, here's the problem, Jeff. How are you going to attract free agents when you don't even keep the guys who want to be there?
Yeah, like, that's the biggest thing.
Halliburton was the guy. He was Mr. Sacramento King. Like, he wanted to be in the building. He wanted to turn the franchise around, and you just kick him to the curb for Domantas Sabonis. Like, it's literally for a freaking box of freaking pop rock.
I couldn't believe what I saw when I read the article that Tyrese Halliburton cried when he found out he was traded from Sacramento. When I saw
his
that,
eyes out.
I actually, part of me was like, you know what? I got to feel for the fans, man. And Tyrese, obviously. But for the fans, like that, you get a guy who wanted to be in Sacramento and you trade him for a guy who probably won't even stay in Sacramento. Wow, Monty McMahon, you shock me every single day more and more. How your philosophy of building your franchise. So I'm not surprised, Sean, but you know what? You're absolutely. I like the point you brought up, though. If you haven't made the playoffs in that long a period, 16 years, like this isn't even just the NBA. This is across all sports. When franchises are so content with being terrible or bad or whatever it is, and you're not willing to take the next step, whether it's spending in baseball, for example, or in this sport, NBA, just messing up in the draft or not keeping players. Get the hell out of here. Go to Las Vegas or go to Seattle. Like, go to a city that at least will support your team enough. Right now, Sacramento Kings fans, you're in a state where California, I'm going with the Lakers. I'm going with the Clippers. I'm like, you're choosing before I go to Sacramento.
Yeah,
it ain't working. Get them out of there.
And part of me thinks too, they're still hanging on to that Cincinnati Royals legacy, right? I mean, they won, Oscar Robinson and guys like that, but. Yeah, they've never done anything as the Kings, the Sacramento Kings, besides some fun jerseys with Chris Webber and Mike Bibby, So it really is unfortunate that they've gotten this far of terrible.
Yeah, the last time the Sacramento Kings made it to the playoffs was in 2005, 2006.
Bro, George Bush was still president, man.
And their leading scorer, I believe, was Peja Stojakovic. So, if that tells you anything, that's where we're at. So, I with that team, I hope they can get something figured out sooner rather than later. But I would wager that in the next year or two, they're going to be heading in yet another rebuild, because they're going to realize that this is almost unsalvageable, what they just did to themselves. So
sooner than later, and I think it's already later, Sean.
100%. So with that, the Sacramento Kings, there's believe me, we're going to be getting into a couple other franchises that are kind of a travesty right now. But one team that's actually been on the up and up is the Detroit Pistons. Now, the Detroit Pistons have won 3 in a row, and it has all been, like we beat the 76ers, we beat the Thunder, we beat the Pacers, and as we're starting to win, as the season winds down, there's starting to be some concern And the concern specifically of, are we winning too much? Now, one thing to note, the Detroit Pistons at this current point are still in the top 3 draft odds. When we beat the Pacers, the Oklahoma City Thunder also won. So we still are above them in those rankings. So therefore, we still have a 52% chance of getting a top 4 pick, and we still have tied for the best odds at the number 1 pick. But with that, Troy, I'm gonna start with you on this one. Are the Pistons winning too many games?
No, they're not. And honestly, what we're seeing right now, the past 3 games, is just guys playing basketball. It's that simple. Mm-hmm. It's guys who are hungry, who want to get better, and we're seeing them get better. One example of that is Killian Hayes. He has been definitely, I would say, our kind of disappointment this year. But the past week, he's shown us a different level. That he is potentially could have been very well a top 10 pick, as in a good top 10 pick, which in the 2020 draft. And I think we still see that there's a glimpse of hope for him. And another guy, Saddiq Bey. We've seen good out of Saddiq Bey all year, but we're definitely seeing him just more and more improve ever since that 51-point game. He scored 6 threes in a row.
The first 6 minutes against Indiana.
6 minutes of the game. Right. So what I'm seeing, Sean, is just guys playing basketball, guys that we, want to see develop, that are developing. And when the buzzer sounds and you have more points than the other team and you call that a win, I call that a win too, right? It's that simple. So I would just say, no, Sean, we should not be worried as Pistons fans that we're destroying our tank value by winning games at the end. No, we're just playing basketball, and it's fun to see these guys develop.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I agree with you, Troy. I actually absolutely agree with you. I don't have a problem at all. I don't know why people seem to now have a problem. Like when Dwayne Casey's losing games, people want him out of town. But then now that, they're finding a way to win games, especially now with the players, good luck.
I have never in my entire life seen a coach get blamed for winning. I am amazed at the criticism that people find for Dwayne Casey. Like at this point, they're digging because, in February it was pretty easy when we're losing 9 games in a row, right? But now when there's actually been a lot of positive and the fruit has been bared that Dwayne Casey can actually coach basketball. Oh, you're supposed to be losing games. What are you doing? Organizations tank. Players and coaches don't. And that's just the truth.
Yeah,
that's absolutely the truth. And
that's such a great way of putting it, Sean. Go ahead, Jeff.
Good luck convincing young players like this to tank. Number one, why would you try to hinder the development like that? Why would you tell a player of any sort, and you're not going to convince Dwayne Casey to lose? That's on his coaching record. That's on the team's record overall for the season. Like, that stays there. And I get the odds at this point in the season. Do wins matter? Probably not. But in my opinion, it's one of my favorite times. I mean, you're not having a great season. You get to see guys like Carson Edwards touch the floor and play well. So I don't see why people have such a problem with winning games. I mean, if you're already right now, the NBA has a lottery system. Like, this isn't the NFL. Like, if you're the worst team in the NFL, you get the number 1 pick. That is not the same in the NBA. So why do people overreact? I don't know. I really don't. I mean, I always look back to the New Orleans Pelicans. They got the number 1 overall.
I was just going to say that.
Who the hell expected that? Like, I'm not worried about having. We have the 3rd worst odds right now, or the 3rd best odds, excuse me. I'm good with it. I'm good.
Well, another example was 2007, Derrick Rose. 2008, Derrick Rose. They were like the 12th. They should have been the 12th pick in the draft, but they ended up number 1.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
that's what I love about the NBA because of that. I mean, you don't have to necessarily always say tank. Like, this is the Lions, and there was 2 games left, the game left. Yeah, maybe I'm sitting over here saying just lose the damn game so we can get the number 1 overall pick. It doesn't work like that. You can lose the rest of the games in the regular season. You still might get the 3rd pick. Like, that's why people need to take a chill pill.
Yeah,
take a chill pill.
And listen, I think people are just missing the bigger picture because this is an opportunity for our guys to get touches, to play competitive basketball, and to do our best to actually close the season strong. And to the people that are worried that we're winning too many games, allow me to read you our schedule for the rest of the season.
Oh, it's rough.
On Wednesday, we play at home against the Dallas Mavericks, a team that is still playing for their playoff seed. Luka Doncic is going to tear the shit out of us. we're going to lose. On Friday, we play the Milwaukee Bucks in Detroit, our home finale. And Milwaukee's playing for something too. Giannis Antetokounmpo's trying to win the MVP, and he's going to run down our fucking throats. We're going to lose. And then on Sunday, we go on the road to the Philadelphia 76ers, and Joel Embiid and James Harden are still trying to secure the home court advantage for the playoffs. We're going to lose. And
they want vengeance.
And they're going to beat the shit out of us. So to everybody that, and like, I don't know who to expect to play in those games. I don't know if any stars will play for the entirety of the game or for half of a game. I have no clue. But even if their stars don't play, these teams are still better than them. So it's just one of those things where guys like Killian Hayes, he's getting the run out there that you wanted him to get all season. Saddiq Bey, he's getting more and more touches, and then we're seeing other guys like we're seeing some of our two-way guys. We got Carson Edwards who came up, literally just got off a flight and started playing for the Pistons. Got almost got a double in Indiana. Like we're seeing guys actually get touches, get chances. Braxton Key, Jamarco Pickett, Isaiah Livers, like. These are the kinds of minutes that are really valuable for young players. And, we're not trying to win these games. It's just that these other teams just out-tanked us. Like, that's just the way it is. So,
and even the games they lose, they keep close. Like, I think over the last 15 games, they've covered. Like, whether they lose or win, they're still playing close games. So, if anything, fans should be excited. I mean, you're playing, even if you lose, you're still like the one night, Cade had a great game, but we lost. So it's like kind of it's a win-win in a way. People like to look at it, but who cares, man? If the Pistons are out there competing, playing good basketball, I know it doesn't carry over into next season, but certainly player development does. Yep. So to your point, Sean, like having these guys get out there and get extra touches, I mean, I love it, man. I mean, give Carson Edwards an opportunity. Like, I want to see him more. Like, I love seeing guys like that get the Braxton Key, another one you brought up, a guy that was left butt naked open one game, and then now he's actually hitting 3-point shots. Like, you're seeing things out of guys that you just wouldn't have seen before. It's just how it is.
Right. Now, obviously, I would expect that Cade Cunningham is not going to play the rest of the way. I'd expect Marvin Bagley's not going to play the rest of the way. I would expect Corey Joseph is also not going to be playing. I would expect, that we're going to see a lot of those guys starting to get shut down. Kelly Olynyk probably up there too. I'd imagine. I wouldn't be shocked if we see Luka Garza start the last couple of games. Honest to God. So we might see Luka. We might see more Luka Garza versus Joel Embiid in Philly on the game finale.
Luka on Wednesday night.
I don't know if I'm ready for Luka versus Embiid.
Yeah,
that's barbecue chicken.
Oh, that's
barbecue chicken.
That's barbecue chicken and coleslaw on the side, man. That's a fucking feast.
But in Luka's defense, at least he'll be playing his heart out, whatever that looks like.
Oh, yeah, he'll be playing his heart out. It's just every time he runs, it looks like he's running through fucking quicksand. Like, the man just always looks like he's moving through molasses. Frank Garza, I love you. I love Luka too. I'm just speaking fact. Anyway,
Frank's a great guy, dude.
Yeah, Frank is great. Frank is great. He's a great guy. But yeah, and Luka's awesome too. I'm excited he's on the team. I'm excited to see what these guys do as the season goes. As the season,
I wanted to take Kelly's place. Take Kelly Olynyk's place eventually. Hopefully.
You know what's mind-boggling? You know how young Marvin Bagley is? Luka Garza is older than Marvin Bagley.
Yeah, wasn't Luka like a senior coming out of Iowa, like player of the year and everything?
Yeah. A traditional senior, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but like it's like one of those things that's like, oh yeah, like holy crap, he really is that young. Like Marvin Bagley is literally that young. So, everyone that's saying he's literally just a month older than Saddiq Bey. Like, come on, guys. But anyway, yeah, I'm excited to see what this team does going down the stretch. Now, we do have some other juicy things to talk about. One of the things that came out today, Magic Johnson did a little bit of a promo tour on ESPN for his 4-part docu-series coming on Apple TV Plus about his career. Because, now everyone's getting their documentaries after Michael Jordan did his, just kind of how it goes. But with that, there was some really interesting perspective and pieces of information because Magic Johnson, obviously being a part of the Lakers organization, used to be the president of basketball ops. Now he's still as someone that's, just as in an advisory role, someone that's like a friend of the franchise. And he said that he had conversations with DeMar DeRozan this summer, and we knew that the Lakers were on his short list, but he told Magic, quote, "I want to come home." And Magic reached out to the franchise and let the Lakers know about this. And obviously the roster that we were all expecting the Lakers to put together this summer was LeBron, DeMar DeRozan, Anthony Davis, Buddy Hield. And that lineup on paper, with everything we saw this year, would have been pretty freaking good. And they would have been a lot better than this team. I think we can say that much.
Oh, yeah.
But LeBron insisted that the Russell Westbrook trade was the way to go. And the more, like, first of all, Troy, you remember, I literally that night, we were talking about that trade as it happened when we were on our way to the Little Caesars Arena to watch Cade Cunningham get drafted by the Detroit Pistons. Do you remember the first thing I said to you?
You said, "What? This sucks."
I literally said,
both parties lose.
I literally said, "What a dog shit trade this is." And it has just proven to be so bad. Like, this has been a disaster. And now the Lakers are in a situation where they are effectively 2 games out of the play-in tournament with only 4 games remaining. The San Antonio Spurs are currently on track to make the playoffs when they don't have nearly the caliber of players that the Los Angeles Lakers have.
They only have one guy.
Yeah, 100%. And so my question, what do the Lakers do this offseason? I mean, first you got to blow this up, right? I mean, at least the pieces around at least LeBron.
Yeah.
But
if I'm LeBron, I'm buying Russell Westbrook a plane ticket. Getting his ass out of town.
But
I'll
here's
drive
the
to
thing.
the airport.
Here's the other piece of it, though. Has the Anthony Davis LeBron James pairing run its course? Because I think it has.
I did too. Yeah, I think, Sean, to add with that, what the Lakers can do is not listen to LeBron anymore. I hate to say it. I mean, in what other sport and what players in NBA history besides, Michael Jordan, I guess, in a way, has this much influence on a franchise? We saw James Harden a little bit too the past couple of years with Houston having influence over the franchise, but it just doesn't work. It doesn't work. It's a bias thought, action. Having a player run like that and have that much authority given to, you blow it up, and like you actually blow it up. I mean, if your name is not LeBron James, I might even go just there. Then you might, or Malik Monk. I mean, you don't have a safe seat in my seat. So I say absolutely blow it up. Watch guys retire and start rebuilding the same way teams like Detroit and OKC now are rebuilding, right? The smart way, the right way in the draft. With free agents who they have the luxury of being a free agent destination, to a degree. So yeah, Sean, you have to blow it up that way. You can't blow it up by who does LeBron James want to play for?
Well, I mean, I would argue, I don't know if the draft is an option if you have LeBron James on your roster. You gotta try and maximize LeBron James's time in a Lakers uniform. I don't know if the problem is that LeBron has too much power in this team. I think the problem with the Lakers is that it's been run like a family business for far too long. Everyone that's in positions of power and has prominent voices in the Lakers organization is all because of their connections with the Lakers franchise. Rob Pelinka is just because he's Kobe's agent. He's the president of basketball operations. I mean, Frank Vogel was the coach they hired after the coach they should have hired. Just everything about this franchise, how everything's put together. I think they are such a dysfunctional organization that has been hidden by winning for so long. And once ownership transferred to Genie Bus, it's been a shit show. And I just don't think there's any other way to say it. They just have been, over the past, ever since Kobe's final years on the team, have been a shit show.
Yeah, no, that's probably the right word for it. Shit show. And listen, the Lakers they won in 2020. I get it was the bubble, but the problem with Anthony Davis is the health, and there's a reason why he's called street clothes. All right, he's never available, but I think there's a bigger issue, and you talked about it from the ownership, and that's why Magic Johnson said, "Get me the hell out of here." I thought I wanted to become a GM type role, but now I'm just going to become an advisor. I mean, you bring in Frank Vogel because you want. Again, we're the organization. We're going to choose the head coach for LeBron, but then you let him choose and then you let him choose the player in Russell Westbrook. Like, I don't get the philosophy. Monty Williams was my pick. If I'm the Lakers, I'm like, that should have been the coach you hire. But again, what do I know? You bring in Frank Vogel, and he won an NBA championship. So now he's going to have to be the fall man. He's going to have to be the guy that takes the arrows for everybody on the team. Is it Frank Vogel's fault? No. But again, I mean, you went ahead and got a Russell Westbrook, and the problem was you lost your best perimeter defender in Cruz. So you lost another one of your best perimeter defenders in KCP, and then you trade away Kyle Kuzma in that trade. And then you got older because you signed Carmelo, you signed Dwight Howard. Like, they went in reverse. Like, they got older and they got worse. And you're Anthony Davis, the guy who's supposed to be, one of your best players, if not your best player. This is the year. Remember, guys, they won the NBA championship. No, LeBron, he can finally take a step back. Anthony Davis, the throne's his.
Yeah, it's time for him to take it. Yeah.
What the hell have we seen from Anthony Davis? Nothing. Because he hasn't been on the court, and that's the issue. So Russell Westbrook and LeBron James, it's been a failure. And DeMar DeRozan, I would have loved to see that tandem. Not only just DeMar DeRozan, because you were getting Buddy Hield. You were getting the shooting. They don't have any shooting. I mean, Kendrick Nunn hasn't even played a goddamn game for them. He's played one or two. The guy hasn't even been on the floor all year. And not only just that, Malik Monk is arguably one of your best just pieces on the perimeter. And he doesn't even look like he's happy there. So, like, the guys that are there aren't even happy. Like, it's a mess. And Frank Vogel's probably going to be the guy that takes the fall. I don't think, now, can you restructure this team? Yes. But again, who's trading for Anthony Davis, for example? Who's trading for Russ? Don't even get me started with Russell Westbrook. No one in the right goddamn mind is.
They're going to have to move. They're going to have to move a first-round pick to get him off this team.
And remember, they don't have a first-round pick for years. They don't have a first-round pick for years, so they're already just digging themselves in a deeper hole. And all of that started again, like, by bad organizational decisions. Like, and to your point, Sean, ownership has always been a problem. So the Lakers, I mean, for an historic franchise as great as they were, Kobe, big reason why they were relevant. They were able to win. And now they got LeBron. They won an NBA championship. But how do you sustain and keep winning NBA championships? It starts up top. And they got nothing. Look at the Warriors. They were the best organizationally from top to bottom. They ran it the right way. They had the right players. They were able to get better players, win multiple championships. You can say super team and all that. The Lakers don't know how to run a franchise if it hit them in the face with Genie Bus. I mean, it's been that bad. So who knows what the hell they'll do, but it's probably going to be a blow up. Again, who's trading for these guys, Sean?
For sure.
Who the hell is trading for them?
Yeah. The only team that's trading for Anthony Davis is a team that's desperate. And, I just, and even then, a lot of these teams that are desperate don't have the assets because desperate teams make desperate moves before they even get the chance to make another one. So
the one team that came to mind, and I'm not saying desperate, but like a Miami maybe, but for AD, but I think they're smart enough to not do that with injury stuff.
Well, the other thing too, like, heat culture being as like, as stingent as it is, wherever Anthony Davis would go, he have to sign off on too. I don't know if he'd want to go from LA where you literally get to do whatever you want. You literally get to play like shit every day and get no accountability for it from the franchise. Because here's the thing, the organization deserves a lot of the blame, but the players sure as hell do not get off scot-free.
Oh no.
Like LeBron doesn't get off scot-free. Anthony Davis sure as hell doesn't get off scot-free, and Russell Westbrook. Now, I'm at the point where I'm ready to say it. So I'm just going to say it. Russell Westbrook's a bad basketball player. He is not a good, and I'm not doing the joke thing. I'm not doing like the thing with Adam we did on the morning show. We're just making fun of this guy and how bad of a season it's been. No, Russell Westbrook, I am being dead serious, is a bad basketball player. He does not affect winning. His offensive game is shot. His overall skills as a point guard, if you take his athleticism out of the equation, He might be one of the least skilled point guards in the NBA.
You know what's scary too? Like with Russell Westbrook, if you're going to build a team around him, like with OKC, you can't surround him with all these star players. It just doesn't work. And then if you don't do that, you're a 6 seed, you're a 7 seed. So yeah, Russell could take you to a 7 seed and get you bounced in the first round. But if you actually want to win games, Russell, like the Lakers are trying to do this season and put him around other good players or great players, he just can't change his game. Like he's too stubborn. And good luck telling him, because now you're telling a guy who's a former MVP, a guy who has averaged multiple seasons with a triple-double. Well, I've averaged a triple-double for multiple seasons. I've won MVP. Look at my body of work. Please, dude.
Well, again,
there's only one franchise for Russell Westbrook, and that is the Sacramento Kings.
Wait, Troy, you might be onto something. I think those are the only dumb sons of bitches that would trade for him. I swear to God.
I think the New York
trade Sabonis for him, right?
The Knicks would too.
The Knicks would do it.
I swear they would do it too.
The Knicks would do it. And here's the thing, because it's one of those things where he is a good player. He was a good player. He had a history of great stats. Here's the thing. Stats a lot of times don't mean a damn thing because they don't tell the whole story.
Yeah, they're inflated.
Yeah, you can look at a box sheet. You can see everything that Russell Westbrook did. That's great. But how much more evidence do we need? I mean, first of all, there was how everything went down with Oklahoma City. The multiple first-round exits after Kevin Durant left, even when they brought in talent around Russell Westbrook. The Paul George pairing, remember when we thought that was going to be dangerous?
With Melo?
How'd that turn out? Yeah, with Melo. How'd that turn out? And then the James Harden, Russell Westbrook pairing in Houston. How'd that go? Did they make it? Did they even make it to the Western Conference Finals?
There's a common denominator in all of this, Sean, and we both know who it is.
Yep, it's Russell. And that's the thing.
And how did the Lakers not see this?
Well, because they just did what the Lakers do. It's a cycle. Once they're out of their championship window, they try to fix it by bringing in an old aging star on a bad contract. Every time. This is Steve Nash all over again.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Like this is literally
how did I forget about
like this is literally Steve Nash and like literally like Steve Nash, Dwight Howard all over again.
And Dwight Howard's still on the team.
Yeah, and he's still there. And like Anthony Davis, he won't like remember when this was supposed to be the year that he was going to play center, by the way? Remember when he said this is going to be the year?
He doesn't like playing center.
and he won't do it. And when he's out on the court, and like here's the thing. Even when Anthony Davis was healthy this year, he played bad basketball for a lot of the year.
He did. What was it, like underwhelming basketball? Like it was
at one point he was like the most inefficient shooter in the mid-range, I believe, but he was hell bent on taking them. Like there's a lot of things about Anthony Davis's game to be concerned about. Now, obviously, I mean, he turned it around a little bit, became like a 23-point a game scorer, 53%. But again, if you're solely just looking at the box sheet, you could say, oh, well, that's an all-star player.
He's better than that.
But exactly. But like Zach LaVine and Kevin Durant probably score around the same points a game. Are you telling me Zach LaVine's Kevin Durant? Are you telling me Chris Paul and Lonzo Ball are the same because they have similar assists? Not, like there is levels to this. And nothing reveals your worth to a team more than what you're like when you age. Chris Paul is no longer near his physical peak as far as being an athlete. But I would argue he's never been more valuable in his career. You know? LeBron James, he 36 years old. He's not in his athletic prime either. He's 2 games away from being the scoring champion this year. Granted, it didn't mean a damn thing because he did it on a Lakers team that wasn't good. But like it shows. And like Dwayne Wade, he adapted. He became a jump shooter towards the end of his career. Carmelo Anthony, he adapted. Like if you want to last in the NBA beyond your 30s, you have to adapt. Yeah. And no one has been more hell-bent on being just them than Russell Westbrook.
And not just adapting your game, but adapting your play style with your teammates. Like Dwayne Wade, you mentioned him, did it in Miami with Chris Bosh, welcomed in LeBron. Hey, I'll take a step. Hey, this is LeBron's show. I'm going to be the second fiddle. I'm okay with that. It seems like Russell Westbrook and everyone praises, and I used to, and I still do. I love the way he plays and the mentality he plays with. But now it's a detriment. Like now it's actually like it's bad against the team for how hard he's playing. I get it. But going 1,000 miles per hour in an offense with LeBron, and again, people always say he'll work with LeBron. Everybody works with LeBron. You're seeing it right now. Russell Westbrook, if there's one player, it's Russell Westbrook that won't work with LeBron. And it's because he won't give up the basketball. Like and he can't shoot. So what is he supposed to do? If you're giving up the basketball, you're going to have to make plays without the ball. You can't do that because he can't shoot. So I'm at a loss, Sean. I'm at a loss for words. Well, I really am.
You said one name there of someone who did adapt and wanted to, help his teammates around, and that name was Dwayne Wade. But guess what Dwayne Wade had before all of that was a championship, right? He tasted that glory. He had
winning pedigree before he had to adapt.
And I'm exactly. And I'm afraid Russell Westbrook, as someone who hasn't tasted that championship, I don't know if he ever will, because he truly does not know or care what it takes to win in this league. He's shown that time and time again, guys.
Well, and I think part of it is that is who he is. Like, good luck telling. Like, Russell has been through so much of his career, guys being like, "That's Russell. That's his game. How impressive! Love what I'm seeing out of Russell Westbrook." And now he's in LA. He's like, "What do you? This is my game. This is come on, guys. Like, you love this. This is what I do. I put up stats." No, it's ego. It really is with Russell Westbrook. And you're in LA, buddy. You're in a market where they're going to let you hear it. This isn't. If you talk about New York, same thing. If you're doing this for the Knicks, listen. I don't want him to have death threats. I think that's a little over the much. I mean,
it's way too much. It's way too much.
That's terrible. Like the fact that his wife has to get that should not happen. But criticism's fair, buddy. You're in LA.
You know what else shouldn't happen? When you're out, when you are losing games and when you aren't playing up to performance, you by no means, as an athlete, should be saying, "I don't care what the crowd says or does during a game." You shouldn't say, "What do you mean? It's just another night. We're not treating this any differently." Like turning questions on reporters, deflecting blame, acting like anything's different. Russell Westbrook's been a child to the media for the past half of the season. He just has been. He's been a child. He's looked immature. So I understand this is a difficult situation. I mean, this was literally his hometown team. It's probably got to feel like your childhood dreams are getting crushed right now. I can empathize with that. That's got to suck. You know what really doesn't look good through all this either? LeBron James' leadership abilities. Because
he's clocked out.
Well,
he's so clocked out.
Has he ever been clocked in?
I don't think so.
I'm a LeBron guy, but I will agree with Sean right there. Has he ever been? I don't think he has.
Yeah, not this season. I think the minute he saw Russell Westbrook on that floor, he's like,
yeah, in my opinion, I think LeBron's leadership is something that gets skimped over a lot because there have been a lot of moments where LeBron as a leader has come short for his team, or has been a reason why they've fallen short. Like I think of the NBA Finals after the J.R. Smith thing. He punches a wall in the freaking locker room and breaks his hand. And then towards the end of the series starts wearing the cast and like literally just starts making that a narrative. Listen, man, I get that play was stressful. I get these things are hard, but you can't break your shooting hand in a finals because you're mad about how a game went. Like it's just stuff like that. But also with this, it's Russell Westbrook was hell-bent on not changing. Who's the only person in the world that could probably speak to Russell Westbrook and get him to try and change? LeBron James. Because no player on the planet Earth that's playing the game of basketball right now, maybe other than Kevin Durant or that top 5 players, would say they're better than LeBron or that they've had a better career than LeBron. If there's anybody that, it's that thing of with Michael Jordan, people would say, oh, he was scary as hell, but part of why that team was so successful is because Michael Jordan was at the helm and he was leading that team.
Yeah, holding people accountable.
Yep. And what's been held accountable on this Lakers roster literally all year? Nothing.
And blame game isn't holding accountable, right? Sometimes we get that confused. If we think holding accountable is pointing fingers. No, pointing fingers just leads to chaos, right?
Mm-hmm.
Correction, leading by, I don't know, example, right? That is the characteristics of a true leader.
Yeah, 100%. We could go all day on this topic. Quite frankly, I think they're going to be very active this offseason. I personally would argue that they need to make changes in the front office and in the coaching staff, but they're just going to fire Rob Pelinka, it's Rob Pelinka is the GM. Frank Vogel.
Yeah, Frank Vogel's going to be the scapegoat.
Yeah, Frank Vogel's going to be the scapegoat. In my opinion, Rob Pelinka should not have a job in the NBA front office. That's just me. Because outside of the championship year, he's been a terrible general manager and has made nothing but bad moves. So that's the way the cookie crumbles on that. But with that, there's also the situation in Brooklyn, and Ben Simmons, the team announced, Steve Nash came in front of the media and announced that Ben Simmons won't be back in time for the rest of the regular season or the play-in tournament. Now, I saw some discourse on Twitter today. I saw people saying, like, why would they make this trade? Did they do any evaluation of his health? And the thing is that he suffered this injury apparently while working out over the All-Star break. And it's like a hernia, like apparently he had like a herniated disc in his back or something like that. So it's one of those things where this is a little bit like, I understand it's easy to think that this is fake, but it's real. Like if he could be on the court at this point, he would be. He's not in Philly. So, my question to you guys, is this too late for Brooklyn to actually swing it back and make a run this year? Jeff, I want to start with you because when Kyrie and they came out hot when they started playing full time, but their win percentage with Kyrie on the court hasn't been anything inspiring.
And a big part of that is now Kyrie's allowed, well, before that, but lately he's allowed to play home games. And when you're not playing, you're taking these breaks and you're getting these nights where you could come back, be efficient. Now you're playing night in and night out, hurts your efficiency. And you're seeing that out of Kyrie Irving. So are the Nets, should they be ruled out as contenders? Absolutely. I mean, come on, guys. Like they lost Joe Harris in the beginning of the year. They don't have Shamet from last year. They don't have Blake Griffin hasn't even played a minute barely this season. So shout out to Blake Griffin, by the way, he's riding the bench. Andre Drummond is your starting center. Okay.
We know how that
goes. You know how that thank you, Troy. You know how that goes. Kyrie Irving and KD with James Harden earlier before they traded James. I was like, you know what? The Nets, I mean, they might be one of the worst in the league at playing defense, especially on the perimeter. But again, this team was just as bad last year playing defense, and they were one of the best teams in the playoffs come the postseason in terms of defensive rating. So, but this team it can't be helped, Sean. They have no shooting. They have it's a top heavy team. And what is one thing if you're an opposing team like we're the Pistons and we're playing Kevin Durant, Kevin Durant's going to get his, and that's what scares us.
Right?
He can come out and score 55 points. He did that the other night and lost.
Yep.
He lost, scoring a career high in points. That should tell you right there, even at their peak, they're still beatable. So the Nets I'm ruling them out. I can't do it no more with them. I think next season is the time you got to watch Ben Simmons be acclimated. They got to make a couple more moves. You can't rely on Patty Mills as one of your bench scorers. Like it's a lot of retooling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's just there would be too much that would have to come together in a short period of time for this team to make a run. Troy, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with that, but I'm going to add a different reason why I agree with that, and it's going to be because of their playoff seed, right? I just can't see them getting past the first round. That's the problem.
Good point.
Here's the thing right now. They're if the playoffs were to start today, they would be the 10th seed in the Eastern Conference.
Exactly my point.
They would not, first of all, they'd have to win 2 playing games. Mm-hmm. They'd have to play the Charlotte Hornets. Tough. Yeah, they'd have to play the Charlotte Hornets, and they'd have to win that one to get a chance to play the next one. And they would have to play the winner of Cleveland and Atlanta. So you'd have to win 2 really important games. Now, personally, I'm taking Brooklyn to win those 2 games because it's the Brooklyn Nets.
Yeah, same.
But
you can't get past who's number 1, Miami? I don't think so.
I think it could be Miami.
I think they could, but I don't think it's going to happen, Sean.
If there's any number 1 seed I want, if I'm the Brooklyn Nets, it's the Miami Heat.
Okay, I will agree with that. Well, yeah. I still can't.
I would
give it like they have like a maybe 18, 19, 20% chance of beating Miami.
Listen, I agree with you that their championship position is chalked. However, unless Giannis Antetokounmpo is on the other side of the court, I am not betting against Kevin Durant in a playoff series. I'm just not.
Yeah.
I mean, we looked at this team last year. Look at what Kevin Durant did. They almost got to the freaking Eastern Conference Finals. They were a toe away.
But Sean, I think what they're missing, and a big part of what they did last year, is that shooting.
Joe Harris.
Shooting. And Shamit. They had so much shooting, and they don't have the same.
They do have Seth Curry.
They have Seth Curry.
They have Patty Mills.
Okay,
Patty
I'll give you Seth Curry.
I
like Patty Mills. I really do. But he's not Joe Harris. All right, Joe Harris
he's not Joe Harris.
And Patty Mills has kind of been falling off lately.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and I love Patty. I mean, he obviously when he was with the Spurs were during his prime years. But right now, it's like that's the team you're walking in facing the number 1 seed with. Like,
right.
But again, to your point, you have 2 guys on the other side of the court, Kyrie and KD, who are money at any time of the game. It could be fourth quarter, late in the game, they're still going to get a bucket, or it can be in the beginning of the game. So I just don't trust them, Sean. I think that's what it more so is. It's not like I'm not going to deny the talent, but I can't trust them.
It's just my one thing is if there is a team I would want to play in the first round, it is the Miami Heat, because I would argue I wouldn't trust the Heat much right now either. Now they have won 4 in a row after they kind of had that really difficult stretch. Or last week we just kind of talked about how bad things looked there for a bit. But again, this team, you have to look at like when you do have a team when it does get to the playoffs at a certain point, you do have to look at the top of those rosters. Now, obviously, I think Bam Adebayo is going to be a problem in that series. I think Jimmy Butler, is a great defender. I think that team would give him a lot of problems.
Tyler Hero, Duncan, all them boys.
Yeah, but again, it's I don't look at that Miami roster and I don't look at them going, oh well, they're gonna be able to outscore the Nets 4 times.
I got a question for you, Sean. Could this Brooklyn team beat a Chicago or a Boston?
Chicago, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Chicago.
Because that's actually another team I wanted to talk about, Troy, and that's actually a great segue because the Chicago Bulls are officially 2-18 against teams in the top of the NBA. The Chicago Bulls, they are 2-19 versus the top 8 teams in the league.
Is that with everybody like healthy?
That's just period, right?
That's just period.
Yeah.
That is just as a team. They are 2-19 against teams.
I was so excited for the Bulls, man. Especially earlier in the season when they had Lonzo Ball, like they had length. They had Lonzo, Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan. They had Vucevic out there, Patrick Williams. Like I was excited. Caruso coming off the bench.
Mm-hmm.
But now I think just injuries and not even just that, when they were healthy, like they're clearly not experienced enough together, gelling together this season. Like you're going to have to give them more time. But I'm a little disappointed, Sean, to say the least.
You know what they kind of remind me of? They remind me of the Atlanta Hawks back in like the 2000s when like it was like, oh, this is a team that's like towards the top of the standings, really good in the regular season, but you weren't scared of them at all when it came to the playoffs. Like a lot of good, solid players, good big man, good versatile wings, but I
see more of a Utah. I mean, I see Chicago in there, but I see Utah and Miami kind of fit in that old school Atlanta role. I don't know, but
yeah, no, that's understandable. But I mean, again, the Bulls, it's been, I mean, let's just not sugarcoat it. Ever since the All-Star break, it's been ugly, and the Detroit Pistons have had a better record than them since the All-Star break, and the Golden State Warriors. So it's been their season's been chalked for a while now, and I think with the Lonzo situation, that hurt them a ton. But even with Lonzo on the court, I always felt like they were a piece away from being for real. I always felt like they were a Jeremy Grant away from being for real. And I still think that way. So, and here's the thing that's going to get scary for Chicago. DeMar DeRozan had a hell of a season this year.
Mm-hmm.
There's no guarantee he's playing like that next year. In fact, I think it's unrealistic to expect him to play like that next year. I mean, especially with how consistent he's been. He's 32 years old, guys. He's going to be 33 next year.
Yeah, he can't be the player to lead you to a championship.
No.
that ain't the guy. DeMar
Zach LaVine's got to step up.
Yes.
Yeah, that's one area we've seen glimpses of this year, but not as much as I was actually expecting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, he in all honesty, like I think I definitely think Zach LaVine's a really talented scorer. But again, at a certain point, like the next step is how do you affect winning? And even though this team is significantly improved over where they were last year, I would argue Zach LaVine's not the reason why. So, I think they have a lot of things they got to figure out too. Very similar to the Lakers. I mean, the Lakers situation, at least, like the Bulls are making the playoffs. At least they actually had a lot of signs of promising things to start. But as far as the questions they have to answer, I think it's very similar in that light. Another situation, I saw something today, and this isn't really news, but it's a stat that came by my timeline, and it blew my mind. John Wall, since signing his Supermax contract with the Washington Wizards, has played 40 games. 40 games. 0 the season after he signed it. 40 with the Rockets last year, and none at all this year. No one traded for him. The Rockets weren't willing to buy him out. And quite frankly, until the Rockets are able to buy him out, I don't think he's going anywhere. Is John Wall's contract the worst contract in NBA history?
And real quick, before we go into it, like, I actually like John. I love John Wall's game. Like, before all of this, remember days, at least in Washington, seeing him early, former number 1 overall draft pick, by the way, coming out of Kentucky, coming out now into the NBA. Now, he's never been your 25-point scorer, but he's a consistent 19-8, 19-9 guy. He's had multiple double-digit assists seasons.
He's still the best player from that draft, I think. Yeah,
absolutely. And not only that, what he gives you on the other side of the floor too. And there was always arguments: John Wall, the fastest player in the NBA. But now, where are we now? The injuries. Didn't he slip and fall and tear his Achilles? Like, there was so much random stuff happening.
Well, I'm pretty sure he was drunk. I'm pretty sure he was partying and enjoying himself around the house, having some drinks. I'm pretty sure he fell. Yeah. It was something crazy, but
I take that back though. He was the second best player from that draft because Paul George. We're gonna go there, right?
Yeah.
Okay, keep going. Sorry,
but again, I appreciate the player of John Wall, but to this point, I mean, you could make a legit argument that contract, man. My God. And when he got traded to Houston to play with James Harden, James has already had one leg out the door, halfway out the door already.
Yeah.
I don't know. And you saw a deal earlier this year with the Lakers. The Rockets offered the Lakers, hey, we'll give us a pick and you can have John Wall. We'll take Russell Westbrook, which, number one, why would I? Essentially the same player. I mean, I'd get John Wall. You haven't seen him play basketball. I mean, he's probably a better defender, but I don't know that. And why am I giving you a draft pick for him? It didn't make any sense. So John Wall, I really don't have an option. You can't buy him out. So he's pretty much just unavailable until it's I don't know.
You're probably going to be able to buy him out this year because at this point he is going to be heading into the final year of his contract. However, it's a player option, which I'm going to go out on a limb. I think he's going to pick it up. I don't know why.
The Russell Westbrook thing.
To me, it up. I have a hard time seeing John Wall leaving $47 million on the table. Yeah. That's just me. I don't know why, but that's just my hunch.
Probably make $47 million the rest of his career if he signs another extension. No one's paying him $25 million a year, John Wall.
He might make that for. He's going to get a veteran minimum wherever he goes next. He's a minimum guy.
47. Same with Russell Westbrook because no guarantees in the NBA, especially how bad they've been playing. So
they are both going to be veteran minimum or mid-level exception guys after this. Mid-level is generous. So especially John Wall. I mean,
especially the talent we've been seeing, Sean, of how deep this league is. We've talked about that so many times, but look at all the upcoming talent.
Yeah.
These are guys, I hate to say it. Actually, I don't really hate to say it, but that isn't worth our time talking about anymore.
Right.
Think about the young talent in this league.
They're the old guard now. They're the
truly old guard now.
Yeah. It's musical chairs. Chairs. You got to find your seat or else, you'll get booted out.
Yeah. John Morant, Damian Lillard, those guys, rise up. Kemba Walker.
Trae Young.
Yeah. Trae Young. That's another one. Yeah. I mean, it's just a litany of guys where it's just, all right, it's clear that it's obvious that these guys just aren't NBA starting caliber anymore. They're not. The only team I could see John Wall starting for next year is the Lakers. That's it.
That's not good.
Which there were real conversations being had at the deadline of if the Lakers should give up a first-round pick to go get John Wall for Russell Westbrook.
You know what team I'd like to see John Wall on? I know this is random.
The Sacramento Kings.
Boston.
Honestly, that Sacramento, send Russell, send John Wall, send all the bad contracts all over to the Sacramento. I'll be good with that.
Dude,
but
just like how the Pistons had a front court of 3 big men who couldn't shoot.
Let's
run a 3-guard system in Sacramento with Russell Westbrook, De'Aaron Fox, and John Wall, and just let them
that
run
makes me want to vomit, like actually vomit.
You know what team? No, you mentioned Boston. I think 2 teams that if John Wall is healthy and he can, be at least a fraction of what he was a couple years ago, and he can go to a team that doesn't need to rely on him. Boston or the Clippers? I like both of those spots.
I like the Clippers a lot for him.
Imagine the Clippers, his versatility. You don't have to do much. John, just facilitate. You got one of the best wings, one of the best wings in the NBA. At least he'd be a beneficiary of that. But again, to your point, Sean, he ain't making what he's making. He's probably going to sign a couple $1 million to go to LA, try and win a title wherever he goes. Yeah. But honestly, I want to see John Wall play again. I mean, I do. I enjoy watching him play basketball. He's just been so underwhelming. Like, even when he's playing, he was playing for the Rockets a year ago. And even when he was playing, it's like, all right, like this isn't really the same John Wall. It doesn't have the same spark, but.
And remember too, guys, him and Bradley Beal took that Washington Wizards team somewhat far in that playoffs.
And he hit some big shots.
Yeah.
John Wall hit some big shots in that playoffs.
You know what's amazing again, by the way? The Washington Wizards are now in a position where they might give Bradley Beal the exact same contract they just gave John Wall. And they might just put themselves in the exact same position they were just in all over again.
And not learn their lesson. Like no lesson whatsoever being comprehended in their brains.
Also, can we just say, by the way, the Kristaps Porzingis move really was a big L for them. Can we talk about how bad they look or how good Spencer Dinwiddie looks? How reportedly they didn't like him in Washington. And now he's made Dallas a legitimate team. Like, can we talk about that? Because, like, that is mind-boggling to me.
Dinwiddie is more than playing great, Sean. He's a second, third option right now for them.
Hitting big shots, too. Dinwiddie's been hitting game winners.
Haven't they been calling him Spencer Winwiddie? Like, isn't that literally what they've been calling him in Dallas just because he's getting dubs? Like, he's a completely different player in Dallas than he was in Washington. He was a 37.
I forgot who it was. It might have been Kenny Smith, actually, who said it on TNT a couple nights ago. But he said sometimes, when you get a new, address, you get maybe even a new phone number, and you actually psychologically feel like a new person, and that just inspires you to ball out. He actually said that on live TV, and I was like, he might have a point there. Talking about Dinwiddie. So
yeah, absolutely. And but I also think part of it was he was playing for the Washington Wizards because I firmly believe they're just a bad franchise. So I think John Wall never lived up to going back to John Wall real quick. I don't think he lived up ever to being the type of player that I think we thought he could have been out of college, because he was a star when he was at Kentucky.
Wall, right?
Yeah, John Wall. Yeah, good times. But now, I mean, he's never been less desirable as an NBA player, and that's just where we're at. But again, that's just it's the circle of life in the game of basketball, man. A lot of these athletic-based players, it's like when a running back turns 30 in the NFL. It's like the kiss of death. You know what I mean? Once you get over the hump of 30, once you start aging a little bit, when you're an athletic based point guard, you're gonna have to adapt, and that's just the way it is. So they just have shorter shelf lives. They just do. But with that, Troy, it's that time, man. It's time for us to before we say goodbye, before we end this episode for this week. By the way, we're almost to episode 50 of the From Half Court podcast, which is crazy to think about. Troy, it's time for us to go from Mount Rushmore. What are we doing today, Troy?
Yeah, thanks, Sean. I think today might be a little bit too early on this. It might be a week too early. but we're going to kind of do a combined. We're not going to necessarily do a Mount Rushmore, more like a tribe Rushmore, but also kind of a legacy, a little bit of the mix of the two, what we've been doing. And we're going to tell the audience individually what our favorite NBA playoff was of the past 22 years, since 2000.
Oh,
so
like a specific playoff?
To right here. So yes, think maybe for a second. I already got my year remembered, and it has to be a year that we watched closely and fully. So of course, I should say 04 as a Pistons fan, but I'm not going to say 04 because I wasn't following the NBA back then, unfortunately. So think a little bit. Maybe there's a couple memories that come to mind that you're not quite sure the year on. Maybe go look online what that was, or a moment. But I would like to start first, since it's my little segment here. And the NBA playoff that I enjoyed watching the most and will always be one of my favorite until it gets beaten is the 2009 playoffs. That playoffs was so fun. What started off fun was in the first round between the Boston Celtics, a 2 seed, and the 7th seed Chicago Bulls, if you guys remember. This was Ben Gordon's year of Sixth Man of the Year. And this was the year after the Celtics won the championship. And they went to a 7-game series. And they, I think, had 7 overtimes, like all together in all 7 games, because there was a couple of triple overtime games. So 7 overtimes within the series. And it just was so fun. That was the Derrick Rose. That was Derrick Rose's rookie year. Joakim Noah was on that team, and the Bulls were just such a fun team to play against that Celtics. But of course, the Celtics prevailed with that big 3. And then going on in the West, Denver Nuggets actually made the Western Conference Finals with their first year with Chauncey. That was the year that they got him. And Carmelo balled out, but it wasn't a match against Kobe's Lakers. And then the number 1 seed for the East was the Cavs team with Mo Williams and LeBron James and Verjao and Agauskas, and they were kind of the consensual for Eastern Conference consensus. I'm sorry. What am I saying?
Consensual's about sex, buddy. Anyway,
Eastern Conference champions. I mean, everyone and their mother thought they would get out of the East, right? It was going to be a Kobe LeBron finals that year. But then Hedo Turkoglu, Dwight Howard, Rashard Lewis, they stopped them in the second round and then beat the Celtics in the Eastern Conference finals to go on and face Kobe's Lakers. And Kobe's Lakers got the final word, winning it in 5 games, and Kobe's first championship apart from Shaq.
Yep.
So that season was so fun because there was so many upsets, but also the league. That's the time that I think is the closest to what we have now of just so much talent throughout the NBA. And our Pistons did make the playoffs that year. We got swept by the Cavs first round. No Iverson because he refused to play. I think we had a lineup of Stuckey, Aaron Aflalo, Rip Hamilton, and Tayshaun Prince and Rasheed Wallace. I think Rasheed Wallace was playing center. So that was our team. So I had to throw our Pistons in that playoff. But for me, every game was a fun game to watch. The league was so deep. There was upsets. That's got to be the playoffs that I'm thinking of.
That's fair. For me, I'm going to go a little later than that. I'm going with the 2016 NBA playoffs.
Took it right out of my mouth.
Uh-huh. Now, Jeff, not only was this the year that the Warriors blew the 3-1 lead, this was the year that the Thunder blew the 3-1 lead.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This was the year when the Toronto Raptors had to begin to face their demons and to confront the LeBron situation in the Eastern Conference. This was the year when the Eastern Conference first round had a lot of competitive series. The Pistons made it that year too, and even though that we got swept and it was like a complete crapshoot, like that was a competitive fun series. Yeah.
Stanley Johnson in that
Stanley
series?
Johnson guarding LeBron. Remember that KCP dunk in Game 3?
Listen, man, I've been to a lot of Pistons games in my life. Few moments were more hype than when KCP yammed it on LeBron in that breakaway dunk. That was hype. But like just every every round in that playoffs just had something to be intrigued with. You know, there was the 7-game series with the Raptors and the Heat in the semifinals. There's the just all the like there's the Spurs.
I was
the
going to say
Spurs Thunder
Oklahoma
series.
City.
Like, like that's like always a great series whenever those two teams play against each other. Like it was just every single round had intriguing matchups and had crazy things. I mean, Toronto literally on their like, you know, being one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference, they literally had 2 7-game series on their road to the Cavaliers. It was, you know, every round was competitive. And you know, like even though we knew where it was going to end up ultimately, or at least I think a lot of us felt like we knew, because that was the year the Warriors went 73-9. But this was also when Kevin Durant, this was the beginning of the end for Oklahoma City. This was just all the implications that this playoffs had on the league and where it went and where we're at now.
Yeah, we're still facing, I guess, the results of that series that whole playoffs. Yeah,
I think this playoffs literally shook the NBA's foundation and turned it on its head.
No, and think about it, guys. If the Warriors win the championship, do they call Kevin Durant?
No. Hell no.
See, a lot of different things happen, and that's just what ifs, man. You got so many of them coming out of 2016,
which means KD stays, right?
Now I don't know if I just don't know, because now think about it. They lost the championship, they win and got Kevin Durant. Draymond called him from the parking lot. Everyone knows that story. Now, what changes? They win the championship. Do they call Kevin Durant? They already beat LeBron. They beat the Cavaliers. They know they're the best team. And then now, what does that look like for Kevin Durant if he joins the Warriors? Because now you're joining the champions. You're joining the NBA champions. So the narrative changes. So so many things change, man.
Yeah.
So,
can I throw in an honorable mention for you, Jeff? Since I took the one right out of your mouth.
Who else? Throw one in.
Yeah, the 2008 playoffs.
Yeah,
the first matchup between the Celtics and the Lakers, the 7-game series against the Cavaliers and the Celtics in the second round.
So fun. I remember watching game. That was my first year of like getting into the NBA. I wasn't all in yet, but that actually made me all in for the next season.
Yep.
And that's what got me into watching the greatness of Ray Allen. Like, this man hit jump shots like I've never seen. At least at that age, I was 8 years old at the time. So a lot of things were new to me. But yeah, the Celtics versus Lakers series, that's iconic, man. We didn't get to see it at least as kids in the 90s and the 80s. But now in 2008, we got to see it. Kobe versus Paul Pierce and the boys.
Yeah.
So
the 2008 and the 2010 series, both.
Yeah.
Both were two of the best finals in my lifetime.
Got revenge. I love it. That's what I love about it.
Yeah.
Ron Artest with that big shot in 2010. Remember that?
Who else but Ron Artest?
Yeah.
And then he was like, after the game, he's like, yeah, I was supposed to win a championship with the Pacers, but this will do.
Yeah. Well, and not to bring it full circle to end the episode, but Ron Artest was actually on the Kings the last time they made the playoffs. And with that, I want to say thank you so much for watching. What better way to end the episode than shitting on the Kings? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We started by shitting on the Kings. We go in there, we talk about basketball, and then we end it by shitting on the Kings. That's how we do it here. So
shit on the Kings.
Yep, exactly. If you're a Kings fan, yourself. But anyway, I want to thank.
No, don't do that. Just switch teams, man. It's not too late. Switch teams.
Yeah, we love teams. You. Switch.
Yeah, guys, you're in California. Just take the Warriors. Just do it. Just ride the bandwagon. You deserve it. I have a comfort food. I'm a Lions fan. Believe me, I get it. I know sickness. I know it well. I can see it. But anyway, I don't move on from my team, so maybe I'm hypocritical there. But anyway, this is the From Half Court podcast. Each and every week, we all sit down, talk NBA basketball. If you like this podcast, be sure to leave us a positive rating, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and follow us on Twitter to make sure that you're catching up with everything that we have going on. Also, be sure to follow my guy Troy at TroyCircuit44. Be sure to follow my guy at Jeff IFRady, and be sure to check out his YouTube channel as well, because his content is coming there too. But with that, I want to thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we will catch you next time from Half Court. Be sure to subscribe.